Hi there. I'm very happy to be there. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm also very happy that you are here. Thank you. Thank you for coming. I've had the privilege of being present at the birth of a human being in my life 3 times. The first 2 times were with my own daughters in 1999 and in 2004. And they're watching us live stream right now in Holland, so you can say hello. And then in 2009, with this little girl.
Ya, toma su manito preciosa, ya. Pobrecita. Ay, esa Sueli no la trata bien, tiene toda sucia la nariz. Date la chuchala.
Así no. Boca abajo, boca abajo.
No, es que primero le voy a lavar el pelito, sí. ¿Sos vos o soy yo? Escobijame. Ya, silencio.
Ay, me agarró la
Pues sí, pero quítate. Siéntese. Pásame el agua. Claro, te estoy bañando bien y vos solo que... Ay, mire, le gusta que le refrieguen el cuello, mira. Necesitamos la gente de la panza. Uy, hueputa. A ver, me tiene la sana, mira. Uy, hueputa, les fascina, parece, ¿verdad? Sí, sí. Dan su trabajo.
This girl is Carla. Her mother is a homeless teenager on the streets of Managua, which is the capital of Nicaragua, as I'm sure you know. Raising a child on the street adds an enormous challenge to the daily lives of teenagers. Life is pretty difficult as it is for teenagers who live on the street, but having to take care of a baby makes it a lot more complicated. At the same time, having a baby for a teenager also offers hope for an end to their homelessness. And that hope outshines all other struggles. Where do the pregnancies on the street come from? There is some misunderstanding about this. Or maybe I should say, it's not exactly as you might think it is. Yes, there are a lot of girls, particularly girls, who have to prostitute themselves to simply survive. There's also a lot of sexual abuse on the streets. And another option might be that someone simply gets pregnant out of a regular relationship because they have had unprotected sex. You can imagine if you live on less than $1 a day, that buying condoms is not a priority. But here's the confusing part. A lot of girls actually want to get pregnant. They're actually seeking to become pregnant in order to become a mother. So these babies, they're also wanted. Now, life on the street is very dangerous for babies. Living conditions are nothing short of life-threatening. Hygiene, for instance. Hygiene, one of the main ingredients of hygiene is having access to clean running water. This is often hard to come by. Street communities always live in groups. Often they live in a fixed place, and they share their place with rats or all sorts of nasty bugs. And then there's a lot of drugs. There's a lot of drugs. And there's sometimes violence. There are also hidden challenges, administrative challenges, which affect them a little bit later on in life. For instance, mothers often fail to register the child, or countries make it very difficult for them to do so. For instance, when the mother doesn't have an ID card. This has tremendous moral implications. As you might know, the acceptance or the registration of a child and the acceptance of that child as a citizen of a country is one of the pillars of the International Declaration of the Rights of the Child. But there are also very practical implications. For instance, if you don't exist, the child just becomes an unknown. The child cannot be seen by the state. If you don't exist, you might have problems accessing healthcare or education, or you might have problems being able to vote later on in life. So despite all this, children are being born on the street in great numbers.
Por arreglar la
gallinas, iba a comer pan, rodaínas, y de rodaínas. Oye, rodaína.
Yo voy de acuerdo que no voy a decir roda gallina. Yo lo primero que pensaba era, yo decía, Padre mío, que me nazca bien mi hijo. Yo sé que eso es lo primero que uno piensa en su cabeza, que nazca bien.
La relación de quién sabe si le vive.
Ya te la chavala, yo no sé, yo la aconsejo, Cindy. Yo tengo un poquito de sopa, Cindy, come. Cindy, pero yo solo durmiendo bien, porque no quiere alimentarse. Mira, gracias a Dios tengo mis 2 niños. Los hijos míos no han sido sanitos.
¿Dos tenés?
2, el varón de 5 años y la niña de 15 meses. Y
15 meses tiene tu niño.
ya está bien, allá en la pelona. Yo decidí darle a este niño a Alan, ¿sabes por qué? Porque a Alan nunca le han tenido niño. Y para que iba medio pesario, lo voy a...
See how easy it is? It's so frustrating. The girl on the right is called Jennifer. She's decided to become pregnant and just give this child to her boyfriend, her then boyfriend, Alan, because she feels sorry for him because he doesn't have a child yet. Why be so frivolous about it? Why is it that teenagers want to have children on the street? Well, there's one very simple reason. One thing that street children all over the world, the kind of street children that live away from home 24/7, one thing that they have in common is a total lack of unconditional love. That's the kind of love your family provides you. More so than a roof over their head, this is the one thing that they are most deprived of. Not just love, but unconditional love. And it's exactly what a baby can offer. Babies don't judge. Babies don't even know what to judge. They have no reference point. They were born there. One morning they woke up, looked around and thought, okay, this is life. This is it. So all they can do is love. And even better, the mother can simply love back, without reservations. That's what makes it unconditional. There's no jealousy, there are no expectations, and there are no other emotional barriers like there would be with a boyfriend or with a girlfriend. But there's a paradox. Some years ago, we tried to figure out how many teenage girls are living on the street worldwide. Now, this is very difficult to do, to start with, because different organizations use different definitions for street children. But we tried to make an effort, we contacted different organizations, we did some research, and we came to a whopping number of 75 million teenage girls. Just to give you an idea, there's about 210, 220 countries in the world that have a population of less than 75 million. So 75 million children is a pretty large number. And now imagine that each one of them has one baby before they turn 18. Sometimes they have more. But let's say they have one. You'd think that street communities would be growing explosively. But that's not the case. And this we can study, because you can look at one city and you can study this. You can see what the growth of the street communities are. So we know this for a fact. And this has everything to do with the low sense of self-worth of the mother. Street kids are street kids because they are on the run from something. Usually it's extreme poverty, violence in the family, or sexual abuse. Often it's a combination of the three. And along with that, and because of that, their self-esteem is often also at street level. Now, self-esteem is directly related to the amount of love there is in your life. How much of it there is to give and how much of it there is to take. So by having a baby and finally having something in their lives that is more important than they are, a lot of teenage mothers finally find the motivation to take that big step to leave the street. So in a sense, the baby becomes a bridge back to society. Often that's a shelter, or sometimes temporarily that's a shelter, and eventually it will lead back to their family home.
Conociéndote de lo que sos capaz, Juan Carlos.
No, hombre, tampoco.
Por eso te lo estoy diciendo, que si vos seguís así, que si vos seguís fumando piedra o algo, mejor lo vamos a tener que alejar porque la niña no va a crecer así en este ambiente. Tampoco yo no puedo estar aquí tanto tiempo, vos muy bien lo sabes.
Yo sé.
Si mi niña estuvo recién nacida, ya tampoco quiero estar aquí. Imagínate que anda pagando esa enfermedad. Está brisando. No, por cierto, ¿de qué les resulta eso? Que vos sigas en el maldito vicio, ¿no?
So just to recap a little bit, the baby makes up for a lack of love. It kind of fills the gap of the missing family. And at the same time, the baby brings the mother to a safer place. Now, that's all very beautiful. And it is very beautiful. And I've seen it happen. But let's not be naive about it. This is not a solution to homelessness. We should not encourage all teenage girls who live on the street to have babies so that they can save themselves. Homelessness on the street, especially child homelessness, is an incredibly complex problem. Each individual's case is different. And I want to use the word individual because street children are not always recognized as individuals. And there are no golden rules. For instance, a mother needs to have a place to go back to in the first place, as was the case with Carla. Carla today is 6 years old, and she's living in a village in the Nicaraguan countryside with her mother, her grandmother, a half-sister, a couple of aunts, and a little bit more family. Today I can say that Carla is healthy, she is safe, and she's going to school. Now the clips you've seen are from a film that I made around the time that she was born. We followed Carla and her mother for about 15 months. And among other places, this film was shown at many festivals around the world, about 40, 45. And very often those festivals would invite me to come and speak to people and do a Q&A. And I found audiences always very empathetic, really understood the film. But once in a while, I would get a question like, don't you think that these people shouldn't have children? Don't you think these people should be sterilized? As you can imagine, this question always upset me. Obviously, the answer is no. I think that the right to form a family is a basic human right that we should all be able to enjoy. And I believe it's all of our responsibility to create the conditions in order for that to become a reality. But more so, I know that these babies very often end up saving their mothers from the street. And when that happens, 2 lives are saved. Thank you.
Dank u, Koen.